The city stood frozen, a monument to a world lost. Once bustling with life, it now lay in eerie silence, a stark reminder of nature's unforgiving power. The streets, once filled with the sounds of daily life, were now buried under layers of snow and ice, creating a ghostly landscape. Buildings scraped the sky, encased in ice. These towering giants, once symbols of human achievement, now stood as frozen relics of a bygone era. The ice clung to their surfaces, transforming them into crystalline structures that shimmered in the weak sunlight, casting long, cold shadows over the deserted streets below. Wind howled through the empty streets. It carried with it the whispers of a forgotten past, echoing through the hollow shells of buildings. The sound was both haunting and mesmerizing, a constant reminder of the desolation that had befallen this once thriving metropolis. Snow swirled, a blinding white sheet. The blizzard raged on, relentless and unforgiving, obscuring everything in its path. Visibility was reduced to mere inches, making it impossible to see more than a few feet ahead. The city was engulfed in a perpetual winter storm, with no end in sight. Silence hung heavy, broken only by the groan of shifting ice. This was the end. The stillness was almost palpable, a heavy blanket that smothered any remaining signs of life. The occasional creak and crack of the ice were the only sounds that punctuated the oppressive quiet, a stark contrast to the once vibrant city. The air was bitter, biting deep into exposed skin. It was a cold that penetrated to the bone, leaving no part of the body untouched. The few remaining souls who dared to venture outside were met with an unforgiving chill that sapped their strength and will to survive. Each breath was a struggle, a painful reminder of life fading. The cold air burned the lungs, making every inhale a torturous effort. Visible puffs of breath hung in the air, fleeting moments of warmth in an otherwise frigid environment. It was a constant battle to keep moving, to keep breathing, to keep living. The sun, a pale ghost in the sky, offered no warmth. It hung low on the horizon, a distant and indifferent observer to the suffering below. Its feeble rays barely penetrated the thick clouds, casting a dim and eerie light over the frozen landscape. It was a sun that had lost its power, a mere shadow of its former self. Shadows stretched long and menacing, swallowing the remnants of hope. They crept across the snow-covered ground, dark and foreboding, as if to remind the inhabitants that escape was impossible. The city was a prison of ice and shadow, a place where hope had long since been extinguished, leaving only the cold and the dark.
The wind carried whispers, fragments of what once was. Laughter, music, the roar of traffic, all gone. Now, only the wind's mournful song remained. It sang of loss, of a world consumed by cold. It sang of the folly of man. Footsteps crunched through the snow, a lonely sound in the vast emptiness. Survival was a moment-by-moment struggle. Every shadow held danger, every gust of wind, the promise of death. There was no escape.
Twisted metal skeletons reached skyward, remnants of a futile fight. Tanks, once symbols of might, lay frozen and useless. The military, humanity's last hope, had crumbled, their sacrifice meaningless. Weapons lay scattered, useless toys against the unrelenting cold. The soldiers were gone, swallowed by the storm or claimed by the icy grip of death. Their ghosts lingered, a chilling reminder of the battle lost.
Empty stomachs growled, a symphony of despair. Food, once plentiful, was now a distant memory. Desperate scavengers roamed the ruins, their faces gaunt, their eyes hollow. Hunger gnawed at their insides. Each day brought fresh pangs of hunger, a relentless torment. The weak succumbed, their bodies swallowed by the snow. The strong envied them, their own existence a fading ember.
Section 5. The Last Flame. A flicker of orange in the vast whiteness, a solitary beacon in a world consumed by ice and silence. The flame danced, defiant against the cold, a symbol of resilience in a desolate world, a beacon against the encroaching darkness. A fire fueled by scraps of furniture and memories. Around it huddled figures, their faces drawn and pale in the firelight. They spoke in hushed tones, their voices barely rising above the crackling of the flames. Each word was a thread, weaving a tapestry of the past, a past that seemed almost mythical in the face of their current reality, sharing stories of a world that no longer existed, a world of warmth, of laughter, of life. They reminisced about the sun's warmth on their skin, the sound of children's laughter echoing through the streets, the smell of fresh bread wafting from a bakery. These memories were their lifeline, a fragile connection to a time before the world had turned to ice. Their words hung in the air, fragile as snowflakes, each one a testament to the human spirit's enduring strength. They spoke of love and loss, of dreams and despair, of the simple joys that had once filled their days. The firelight flickered on their faces, casting shadows that danced like ghosts of the past, clinging to the last vestiges of hope. In the midst of the ruins, they found solace in each other's company, a reminder that even in the darkest times, the human spirit could endure. The flame, though small, was a symbol of their resilience, a promise that as long as it burned, there was still hope for a brighter future.
Section 6. Aching silence. The fire died, leaving behind only embers and smoke. The silence returned, heavier, more oppressive than before. It pressed down on them, suffocating, a weight on their chests. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. They huddled closer, seeking warmth from each other's bodies, but the cold seeped in, a constant reminder of their vulnerability. Their breaths formed clouds of condensation, each one a tiny testament to their fading existence.
Section 7. Frozen reflections. They saw their reflections in the ice, distorted and grotesque. Their eyes, once filled with hope, now reflected the desolation around them. The world had changed them, stripped them bare, leaving only hollow shells. They clung to each other, a desperate attempt to hold on to their humanity. But the cold was insidious, seeping into their bones, their minds. It whispered of surrender, of oblivion, of the peace that awaited in death.
Memories flickered, bittersweet and painful. Warm summer days, the laughter of children, the comfort of loved ones. These memories, once a source of strength, now brought only pain. They were ghosts haunting the ruins of their lives. The past was gone, buried beneath the snow and ice. The future held nothing but cold and emptiness. They existed in the present, a fragile moment balanced between what was and what would never be again.
Hope, once a bright flame, flickered and threatened to die. It was a symbol of resilience, a beacon in the darkness, but now it struggled to stay alive, much like the people who clung to it. The weight of despair, the relentless cold, the ever-present hunger. It was all too much. Each day was a battle against the elements, a fight for survival in a world that seemed to have forgotten warmth and kindness. They had fought to survive, but for what? The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, with no end in sight. The struggle seemed endless, and the reasons to keep going grew fainter with each passing moment. What future awaited them in this icy wasteland? The once bustling city was now a graveyard of memories, a frozen testament to what once was. Dreams lay buried under layers of ice, and the future seemed as bleak as the present. Some clung to the belief that spring would come, that the harsh winter would eventually give way to a season of renewal. They held on to the hope that the sun would shine again, melting the ice and bringing life back to the barren land, that the world would thaw, that the rivers would flow once more, and the earth would awaken from its frozen slumber. They dreamed of green fields and blooming flowers, of a world reborn, that life would find a way. Nature, resilient and persistent, would push through the snow and ice, reclaiming its place. The sight of a single sprout breaking through the snow was a reminder that life, no matter how fragile, could endure. But deep inside, they knew the truth. The harsh reality was inescapable. The winter was not just a season, it was a new way of life. The cold had seeped into their bones, and the hope that once burned brightly was now a mere ember. Winter was here to stay. The endless expanse of white stretched out before them, a constant reminder of the world they had lost. The silence was deafening, broken only by the howling wind and the crunch of snow underfoot. And with it, the end of everything. The dreams, the hopes, the future they had once envisioned, all seemed to fade into the cold, dark night. The stars above offered no solace, only a distant, indifferent gaze. The end was not sudden, but a slow, inevitable descent into oblivion.
The sun, a distant memory, had long since vanished. The moon, a cold, unblinking eye, watched over the frozen wasteland. Stars, like diamonds scattered across a black velvet cloth, offered no warmth, only a chilling reminder of the universe's indifference. The wind howled, a mournful dirge for a dying world. Snow fell silently, relentlessly, burying the past, the present, and the future under its pristine blanket. The long night had come. The city stood frozen, a tomb encased in ice. No light shone from its shattered windows. No sound broke the silence. The world was a blank canvas, painted white with snow and ice. Life had breathed its last. The last winter had come, and it had claimed everything. The cities, the forests, the oceans, all frozen. A silent testament to the hubris of man and the indifference of nature. The world was ice, and ice it would remain.